Hello, ladies and gentlemen, folks and boys and girls. Today is Friday, November 10th, 2017. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, here to talk about the stuff going on in video games. And pardon for the mess, we're a little under construction. We are changing our look a little bit, so bear with us. But we got to get right into it because it's actually been an interesting week since I've been technically gone. First things first, it looks like EA has purchased Respawn, the makers of Titanfall. This comes as big news because it's 50% expected and 50% unexpected. I'm surprised that they've went this long without being acquired because EA does have a tendency to do that. Respawn has managed to hold on to the Titanfall rights for their own despite deals with Microsoft and EA. And now they're here. They're purchased for the tune of something like $450 million announced just yesterday. And that is the final total after all the businessy stuff, but apparently the deal involves making another Titanfall, a Titanfall 3, and the Star Wars game. That Star Wars game being the one that we previously knew they were working on. Now, of course, everyone says EA has a tendency of kind of swallowing up studios and spitting out the bones. Just recently, if you forgot about it, we talked about it a few weeks ago, but they shut down Visceral Studios, the studio behind Dead Space that was working on a full Star Wars game. So that does show that with EA, a studio working on a Star Wars game cannot survive. So do I worry about Respawn? A little bit, but this move was made out of confidence because it's interesting. Another company, an Asian-based company, offered to buy Respawn first because they had made the Titanfall mobile game for them, but ultimately EA had the first right to jump in and match that offer, and they decided to go for it. So take that for what you will, whether it was their hand was forced a little bit, I don't know, but that's where things are at right now. So here's hoping that Respawn kind of retains who they are and the games that they make, because Titanfall 2 was awesome. Still the best. Still really good.
Some might say it was one of the best games of 2016.
Some might say it was one of the best first-person shooters of 2016.
Hell yeah.
Oops. But in some other news, some cool tech I wanted to point out to you guys. This is really interesting. With the launch of the Xbox One X, we covered it, we made videos, but a lot of people have been digging much deeper, like the folks at Digital Foundry, and a lot of people came to realize with certain games that shipped with uncapped frame rates, meaning most games that stuck around at 30 could potentially go higher or lower, with the Xbox One X, they automatically benefit. The Witcher 3, before it was patched at all, just off the disc, actually benefits. With no actual Xbox One X enhanced update applied, the game ran closer to 60 FPS, which sounds like a freaking cool miracle, but honestly, it's just technology at work. Like, to me, that's just the hardware doing its job. Now, Xbox One X has been in the news a lot recently because of the release and some people having issues with their consoles. I'm sure we're going to be talking much more about it in the next week or so, seeing how a lot of people have actually picked one up. But in something a little unprecedented and something under the radar, but it is a big deal for some folks like us here at gameranx, we do care about this. PlayStation has changed how they handle their ratings, specifically with digital games. Previously, digital indie games didn't technically have to be rated, which means a lot of companies like limited run games would put out physical editions of those games more easily thanks to the fact that they don't have to be rated. And some people really like collecting those physical versions of games like, you know, Hotline Miami or something like The Flame in the Flood or The Long Dark, stuff like that. But now, seeing as Sony has changed the requirements, things may potentially change. All things have to be rated on Sony's platform, but now physically released games of these digital games have to go through the full expensive rating process, and that's technically detrimental to a lot of smaller publishers and smaller publishers of physical game copies of those indie games. So like I said, it's a small blip in the news department, but like everything else I talk about this week, I linked the source down below. Just read up on how it actually works because it is interesting and it's kind of unfortunate the way things are going. But you know, every week we like to kind of dive deep and find one weird, stupid, or cool thing about games, and we have to acknowledge this. I found this article that breaks down how John Carpenter is actually a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan. This is so good. John Carpenter, the famous director, the guy behind Halloween, The Thing, stuff like that, has went on record in an interview with a magazine saying that he has been a huge fan of Sonic the Hedgehog games following all of his adventures. Apparently, he's been playing Sonic the Hedgehog since it was on the Mega Drive in like 1991. He then went on record, this is the actual quote, and I fucking love this. He said, and I quote, "I even like the one where he turns into a werewolf." How good is that? That's so fucking amazing. He's talking about Sonic Unleashed, which didn't come out that long ago. So he's still playing all these Sonic games. Honestly, I hope someone reaches out to him and sees how he feels about Sonic Forces. He also went on record saying it takes him a while because they're challenging games, but he did play and beat Sonic Mania. That's awesome considering John Carpenter is like a busy working Hollywood director and he's also 69 years old. Nice. Sorry. But in covering some news we may have missed last week while I was out on the honeymoon thing, BlizzCon happened, and we got some news from Overwatch. We got a new character, Moira, who is pretty cool. We also got a new map. But what I'm most excited about is that Starcraft 2 is going free to play, which is huge. It looks like it's dropping the 14th of November, and I think that's a big deal. You should definitely play it. If you haven't played Starcraft 2, obviously, like, it's huge. And those games really do take this world by storm. Starcraft 1 especially, so now that anyone can get their hands on Starcraft 2, I think that's cool and a big deal. But speaking of Xbox One X, earlier in a big interview, Phil Spencer went on record, once again, always talking. I feel like we talk about him every week. He went in detail saying that Microsoft is planning to now invest in studios, developing games in-house and acquiring studios to make more exclusives, which I think is a really big deal. Of course, I think this should be taken with a little bit of skepticism, just because of the fact that the Xbox One X is coming out, and that's probably the biggest concern people have had, even in the mainstream, is the fact that it doesn't have a ton of new, fresh exclusives coming out now or down the pipeline. So that could be him kind of doing a little bit of damage control for both the general public and shareholders. But on the flip side, at least this is something that they have to really put the money where their mouth is and prove it. If they do really start investing in studios and game dev, that could be a really good thing. Microsoft kind of has gone up and down with that with the Xboxes, so I hope this happens. But in some Nintendo news, number one, there's been some reports recently that Nintendo is amping up Nintendo Switch production immensely. But number two, the biggest thing, I think the Miiverse is gone. Rest in peace, Miiverse. They shut it down on November 7th and had a lot of good times there. Not really, I'm kidding. It was a lot of trash, but like a lot of people had some good times on there. And thankfully what Nintendo did do, you can actually request an archive and download all of your posts and your history of the Miiverse. Apparently, if you did request that download, a link is going to be sent to your email soon, so you can get all those beautiful shit posts you put on the Miiverse. Finally, you can preserve them forever. But speaking of something that is over, but just potentially keeps coming back, Harry Potter. Sorry, I love Harry Potter. But the news today is that Niantic Labs has officially started working on a Harry Potter Pokemon Go style game, an augmented reality social game where you can do wizard stuff, I guess. This was in the news a while back when there was rumblings that they technically acquired the rights to a Harry Potter game, but now we've got an official announcement. We don't have a big flashy trailer or anything like we got when Pokemon Go was first announced, but we do know it's called Wizards Unite. I have no expectations, or I don't really know what this could really be like. I am curious to hear what you guys think. Maybe if you're the type of person that's still playing Pokemon Go, I want to know what you would want from another attempt at this type of game. I just want more end game, more content, more things to really do within the game. Because for a while, I think Pokemon Go blew up, but then they really just couldn't keep up with the content. Hopefully, they learn that with Harry Potter Wizards Unite, which is a really dumb name.
It's a terrible name.
But if you're looking for a quick thing to read, IGN Poland, which translated, they had an interview with some CD Projekt Red higher-ups, and they went actually into detail a little bit about the future of The Witcher. And basically what their CEO said was that they plan to possibly return to the world of The Witcher, just not necessarily following The Witcher. He reiterated once again that, you know, Geralt's trilogy is definitively done. They're done with him. But the company still owns the IP, and the team is itching to do something with it. Also, he did acknowledge that both fans and shareholders want it. I like the upfront transparency. I'm curious to see what actually goes down as CD Projekt Red grows, especially considering there's been rumblings here and there lately. You've seen rumors posted online that there's been issues internally. But we don't really know for sure, and honestly, all I want to see or know of right now is just more from Cyberpunk 2077. And I don't know if you guys have been following the glitch videos we've been posting where you guys send us your glitches and then we react to them, but we've been pumping them out. The Assassin's Creed Origins one I'm a huge fan of. You should check that out. But we are taking submissions for more glitches, for more videos. So if you want your videos to pop up in a gameranx video, there's 2 links below to sign up and enter glitches that you have captured for number 1, Need for Speed Payback, which I wish that game was just a little bit better. And of course, you guessed it, Call of Duty World War II. So if you've come across anything, send it to us. But of course, you know, it's next that console giveaway we do every single week. You know how it goes. There's a link below. You click it, you sign up, you enter once, then you're entered for good. And then every single week we go in and randomly choose one person to win a free console of their choice. And this week's winner is going to be this person right here. Congratulations. Be sure to keep an eye on your inbox, your spam box. Tom's going to be reaching out to you to figure out how we can send you your free shit. So congratulations. But now we got to talk about what has been going on this week. Number 1, the Xbox One X, the launch, all that. How do you feel about it? Number 2, there's also been some rumblings, we didn't really have time to talk about it, but there's been some stuff with AMD working with Intel to technically take down Nvidia. How do you feel about that? If you're an Overwatch fan, maybe you're into PTR, you've been playing as Moira, how do you feel about her? Do you think Microsoft is really gonna put their money where their mouth is this time in terms of investing in game development and making new games? And also, how do you feel about EA buying Respawn? Do you think it spells doom for Respawn, or do you think they can hold out? I personally think they can hold out, but it's just because I'm a fan of the studio. Let's talk about anything video game that has been going on down in the comments. I'm going to be down there talking to you guys as much as possible. But, you know, if you got anything else for me, any love, any hate, definitely probably way more hate, hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jake Baldino. You know where to find me by now. But, you know, coming around every week, clicking the like button helps us out, helps us do this show and make different backgrounds for you guys to look at. And if you are new, you should subscribe because we put out videos every single day. We're really tired. But as always, thanks for watching. I'm Jake Baldino. We'll see you guys next time. Pizza's on me.